What is going on, Pretender here, back with another Honkai starter off video, and today I'm here with both my first and final impressions of Aglaea. Unfortunately, I did not get the chance to do a separate video for my first impressions that are separate from my last ones. I did not have the time, and I also had to deal with my sickness and stuff. So instead, I'm bringing both what I thought initially and what I think now, with only less than a week of her banner about to leave pretty much. Do what I usually do when it was like the build up to her banner, what we knew, how I felt about all that kind of stuff, and so on. What I usually do in my first impression videos and such. And then obviously my final impressions on her. But yeah, before I get to the video, if you guys find this video helpful or likable in any way, shape, or form, drop a good like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell for future videos like this along with all other types of Star Wars content. Check the description to join the Discord and my second channel, and let's get straight into the video. So first, leading up to Aglaea and what I did think initially, so she got drip marketed and I was like, okay, her design, it didn't really have me at first. I thought it was a bit of more of a generic look, but the further the days went on, it grew on me a lot, and now I really like her design. But yeah, mainly once the kit started coming out and we were seeing some stuff and seeing how she was speed scaling, I'm a big sucker for some crazy speed stuff you can do in this game. So seeing that she was practically the first proper character that scales off speed, not including Zayle's Lycon, that does not count. I remember so many people kept commenting Zayle dead in the ditch when I said that. She does not count. I'm talking about actually scaling off the speed. Seeing she was going to be able to do that and stack up a bunch of speed and get a bunch of speed in battle was super cool to me, and I was really excited. The only whole thing I had is I was kind of iffy if I would end up getting her. I kind of was set on just getting her and her Lycon, but then I saw like, oh, E1 is practically a game changer, you know, but like after it got shifted, because before it was the defense ignore and then the actual one you wanted was E2. Seeing all that kind of stuff and how important it was going to be, I was definitely like, damn, I kind of want to get dupes, but I also didn't want to spend too much, so I was kind of iffy, and I was like, you know what, she's a lightning character. I already have an E2 Acheron, so I'm honestly just not going to bother even pulling for her. And this is coming for someone that really wanted her and really was set on getting her at first. So it was a very last minute decision where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, you know, I'll try to get my E2 Robin, you know, once I get her, I'll build Pity, and then that'll be that. But yeah, just seeing her kit, I knew she was gonna be great. She had a bit of faults that were locked behind, you know, having the Lycon thanks to the base speed. Not having the E1 was gonna be very painful if you didn't also have Sunday and Wolfwolf. If you had those two, then it was a bit more manageable. But even missing one of them, it became a lot more annoying. I still think she is fine at E0. E1 is definitely a puzzle piece that you do really want to make her fully potential unlock pretty much. Yeah, overall, it kind of became a character where I was like, damn, I want her, I want the Lycon, and then I'd want at least E1 just so she can compete with Acheron. Because I'm also someone that does like to attempt to zero cycle Abyss. I've practically been zero cycling Abyss or Memory of Chaos ever since Acheron did release. Ever since 2.1, I've been zero cycling every MLC that has come out since then. And so I obviously look towards the perspective of I really like the unit and I really like the character, which obviously is something important for me. If I don't like the character, and even if they're broken, I'm not going to get them. Like, look at Firefly for the example. She was broken, her dupes made her easy zero cycle, still is easy zero cycles, and I did not pull for her. Same with the Herda. Not like I don't dislike the Herda, I just didn't really care for her that much, so I didn't bother getting her. So me liking the character is a big part in that, so I decided to invest on the characters that I do like that are also really good, and if they're very much liked, then I'll get dupes in them and such. But then finally 3.0 did release, we got the Euphoria story, we got to learn more about Aglaea, and I ended up really liking her in the story. But yeah, this was kind of the mindset where I was like, I already have E2 Acheron, it's gonna be, you know, I can't really bother with this. But then finally comes to the date of her banner, so I'm like, oh, it is what it is. I'm just gonna get my E2 Robin, which I got, and then I built 70 pity on Aglaea, and I did not actually end up getting her. The reason I ended up getting her in the end is I actually tried to get some Dance copies on the Lycon. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna build some pity on the Lycon, you know, surely I don't end up getting it. 2 multis go in, boom, it goes gold, and there was Aglaea's Lycon. And I'm like, you know what, honestly, I'm not even that mad, because if that happened, I was just gonna rip the pity anyway. So first thing I did, I had 70 pity, ripped it on Aglaea, won the 50-50. And so now there and then I had an E0 S1 Aglaea. And now I'm like, damn, I'm already at the point where if I get another copy, then my Acheron for zero cycles is practically going to be retired finally. So that is where I decided to use whatever currency I had left. I think I had like 1 or 2 more multis, and then I bought a pack, and I got an early, and I won 50-50 again. So I had an E1 S1 Aglaea just off that one pack and just getting some insane luck. And I was super thrilled. Obviously tested her at E0, S1 and such first. And I have to say, even at E0 S1, I was definitely impressed. You know, I could definitely see the energy issues, but since I have Sunday and Wolfo, it's definitely more manageable. When I tried without, it was definitely a lot more noticeable that you don't have enough energy. Getting out of all, you definitely want to stay in all, otherwise you're a very weak unit. And I definitely kind of think it sucks that such power is locked behind that. And then I also tried without Lycon, which completely messed with my build. Since my build with her Lycon is exactly 163 speed, and some decent crit stats with some decent attacks, so overall it is good with that. So without that, it was a lot more painful. Still was able to cook with it, but again, just having the Lycon is that much of a jump as well, making her easier to build. Then if we were to say without Lycon or without E1, she's definitely usable. She is just significantly weaker weaker. Definitely, she still can technically zero cycle without one or the other, or in most people that probably will not care about zero cycles. In general, clearing, you definitely don't really have to get the E1. Let's say you have Sunday and Whirlpool, then you can completely function without the E1. It's completely fine. And even if you're missing one or the other, it's definitely gonna be a lot weaker, but she still can clear content. And when it comes to not having her Lycone, you could still clear stuff without her. You could still build her. It's just gonna be a bit difficult, but you still definitely can clear without having her Lycone or having her E1. Again, it's significantly weaker because of how much of a jump she does get. And it's pretty sad that it's that much of a lock behind thing. Like, it's sad that it's not her base kit. She'd be super broken if it was in her base kit as a thing. But it's really sad how much they lock for her power behind her Lycone and E1 minimum. Because once you have a, let's say, E0 or E0S1, it's strong. But once you have E1S1, it just feels like the potential is unlocked and suddenly you're just going absolutely crazy. You're always an ultimate. It's just absolutely cooking. But then, alas, I finally fixed her with putting in the E1, you know, fixed quote unquote. And yeah, she was practically just always and all just dishing constant 300, 400k damage without Robin. If I ran the sustainless teams, even with the sustain, she'd cook. You know, just with that, she just always and all constantly attacking, having like 300 plus speed in battle. And I'm just like, oh my god, this unit is so goddamn fun. She gets so many turns. Her animation is absolutely gorgeous. And I was having so much fun. You know, I love units that can get so many turns. That's why I love follow-up attacks so much, is because you see a bunch of attacks. So Aglaea practically being a follow-up unit minus the follow-up in her own and getting those actions and doing all that damage is just so goddamn satisfying. And I was just having so much fun with it because you just do so much damage. You know, it's smaller increments. Like, you're not doing as much as an Acheron all, but you do them in smaller increments and you do them more, so you're attacking more than Acheron would every like now and then for ultimate big damage, which again, more output can equate to more damage rather than one big hit, so eventually Aglaea would out damage Acheron, and she was able to zero cycle completely fine at E1 S1 for me. And so my Acheron was finally retired, so I was really happy because I'm not gonna lie, I don't really enjoy using Acheron anymore. Not really the biggest fan of her playstyle either. But I had an E2 Acheron, you know, she did me justice, you know, she helped me zero cycle all this time, so I'm definitely happy with her, I guess. But now it's with Aglaea, she's so much more fun for me and she's a lot more satisfying. I definitely think she's probably never gonna get boring for me. Honestly, my only issue is the fact that her best team with having Robin and Sunday like drastically reduces my chances of being able to use something else. The other team, like, I can't use Robin on both sides, so my follow-up team won't have Robin if I want to use Robin with her. Thankfully, Remembrance MC does exist for that. And with Remembrance MC, Aglaea does cook very, very well. It's not the biggest gap away from not having Robin. Still performs super, super well. So that's a great thing to have. And so zero cycle setups with her and then my follow-up team on the other side has just been so good. And she's just been so goddamn fun and performing so well. And then finally, talking about the E2. So I did want her E2, but I did refrain from buying a pack for it. I refrained from getting too greedy for it. Because it's good. It's definitely not as game-changing as the E1. E1 is definitely the easy stopping point you want to have. But since I have an E2, so byproduct E1 Sunday. E1 Sunday with the E2 Aglaea is a very, very big power boost you can get thanks to the defense stacking a lot, or the defense ignore stacking a lot. And so I knew the damage jump I'd get would be really, really noticeable. And I, again, like, you know, I really want this, but I'm not going to spend for it. So what I did do is end up just using any currency I did on it and just kept throwing summons at her. And you guys will not believe, just a random day, rip a single around 40 pity, and I see the ticket get inverted, and I, like, my jaw dropped. I was like, there's no way I'm getting another early. Lo and behold, Remembrance pops up, E2 Aglaea, just like that. Already extensively tried all the other levels, so I fed in the E2 right away, and yup, the damage was so noticeable. It, like, just absolutely skyrocketed. Even having just one stack is noticeable. Often you'll have two, and very often you also have 3 stacks for her defense ignore. So practically just at all times, just noticing that actual defense ignore and how much damage her damage did skyrocket, especially pairing with the E1 Sunday, is just so insane. So now with E2 Aglaea, you know, the doubts I had, like, oh, you know, I'm E2 Acheron, it's not going to perform differently. So, you know, if I had an E0 S1 Aglaea, that'd be true. But now that I have an E2 Aglaea, yeah, there's practically no competition for me. And so then we get to around the final impressions part. I've tested her with multiple different teams, with Bronya, with Sunday, without Sunday, with Robin, without Robin, with RMC, without RMC, with Rohan May and such, with the sustain, without sustain. I've just tried it all. I've tried her with so many things. Levels of E0 S0, E0 S1, E1 S1, E2 S1 now. And I am very, very satisfied with the results. Probably the most fun DPS for me to date in this entire game. Not comparing here with Feixiao, because Feixiao also had the benefit of having the entire team be super fun. You know, I love using Feixiao, I love using Topaz. You know, Aventurine, mine specifically is insane. So I'm not counting them because, you know, that's like an entire team. I'm kind of just counting for Aglaea being the DPS herself. definitely my favorite DPS to use. Because just seeing all the turns, the damage output she can do is just so satisfying. The amount of attacks, her beautiful animations is just absolutely insane. Gorgeous, bunch of damage. She is just so goddamn fun to use, and I'm very, very satisfied. Once again, E0S0, bit underwhelming obviously. Still can clear content. E0S1 definitely does well. E1S0 definitely a lot better because of how many easier turns you can get by always being in the ultimate and always having that up. E1S1, she becomes practically god. And then my god, E2S1, she just does so much damage. It's just absolutely insane. So again, my final impression is very, very satisfied. I definitely think she is definitely workable at the lower levels of not having E1 or not having a light cone. Definitely a lot weaker, but once you do have them, she becomes this monster of a unit, absolutely shredding through practically everything you do take her on. And if that is the first and final impressions for Aglaea, if you guys did summon for her and what level you guys have her at, definitely comment down below if you guys are happy with her or not. As you guys can tell, I'm very, very happy. You know, again, practically my favorite DPS to use right now. So, big W. Once again, if you guys found this video helpful or enjoyable in any way, shape, or form, drop a good like, would be greatly appreciated. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the button for future videos like this, along with all other types of star content. That's all I wanted to say. Peace out.